Cool out there because it sure was a hot one. Today, a little cooler, and it certainly feels nice out there because it is still sunny. Really nice way to kick off the work week. And Joe, is this going to be the trend for the rest of the week?
Yeah, you know, there's a chance. So tomorrow there's a chance of a shower. Wednesday there's a chance for a shower, but nothing that's going to be widespread. And I think a lot of you probably won't see any rain at all through that time period. And then just kind of a comfortable week, you know, as we take a look at the big picture moving forward here. So it doesn't look too bad, Maya. We'll have more on that. Also, a look at the temperatures coming up, and a look ahead to Alpenfest, which kicks off in Gaylord. The forecast for that a little later.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. Let's start off with our top story tonight. Amid a rash of weekend water emergencies, authorities looking into the deaths of a Levering man and his son after they drowned in Burt Lake in Sheboygan County. Pelson School Superintendent confirming that the teen was a student there. The superintendent says that Christopher Houseworth was going to be a junior. He participated in football, basketball, track, and band. A GoFundMe has been set up for Christopher and his father, Dale. Now, the sheriff says that Christopher went under the water near the Maple Bay campground at Burt Lake, and his father went in to try to rescue him, but also drowned. The superintendent says that the school will be offering therapy and grief counseling for the students and the community.
Here and open and ready to go today and tomorrow, but that kid might need us next Wednesday or August 12th, and I'm in the office full-time in the summertime, and we're here for him. So they know how to reach me, and they know how to reach my principals, and if the need arises, parents know how to get a hold of me, and we'll be there for them, and we will rally whatever need they have and meet it.
The superintendent says that several schools have reached out and offered counseling assistance as well. And if you want to help the family, Shannon King, that's the Pellston School's music teacher and band director, has created a GoFundMe that will be linked on our website. And combined statewide, emergency responders dealt with 8 total drownings over the holiday weekend. In addition to the 2 in Sheboygan County that we just mentioned, another occurred on Lake Mecosta. A victim drowned in Muskegon County on White Lake. A 49-year-old was killed in downstate Oakland County, as well as an 86-year-old missing man with dementia who was found in an Oakland County pond. And another father and son died in Lake Michigan at Indiana Dunes National Park. Well, medical care is essential for a healthy life, but if you can't get to the care that you need, it really doesn't matter how good your doctor is or how good your local hospital is. But now a Northern Michigan startup company is working to address that, making it easier for patients to get the care they need and helping to lessen the load for local emergency transport services. Here is Mark Chalette with that story.
It was a big risk taking this on. It's kind of something that's never really been done up here.
But Kelly Lark is starting to see that risk, that outside-of-the-box thinking take shape.
Right now we have 3 ambulances. We're only running 1 full-time 24/7 at the moment as we're trying to get off the ground here. But we do have 2 full-time wheelchairs that run all over.
For years, the Elk Rapids native worked inside an ambulance.
I've been about EMT for about 5 years now.
But last fall, after years on the job, he noticed a trend here in Northern Michigan.
Found more that there was people that needed transport to get places that they don't have a way of getting there, whether they need our wheelchair van or ambulance service. And that way we just kind of create accessibility to care for everybody.
And so Lark Medical Transport came to life, headquartered in Elk Rapids, but providing medical transportation far beyond.
We go all over the place. We've gone taking transfers as far north as Sault Ste. Marie, and we've taken ones as far south as Cincinnati.
They don't respond to 911 calls. Instead, they focus on medical transports.
We deal directly with the hospitals to get people from one spot to the next to a higher level of care, to get them what they need, whether it be a surgery or a better treatment or more long-term treatment.
And with their wheelchair vans, they get folks from anywhere, including their own homes, to therapy, treatment, and doctor's appointments.
All of our wheelchair van drivers are medical first responders, or at least right now training to be. And then everyone who works on the ambulance is either an emergency medical technician basic or a paramedic.
Even with roughly 20 employees and a fleet of vehicles ready to roll, they can't do everything an ambulance does, but that's not their mission. Instead, what they're able to provide not only makes things easier for patients, it also helps lessen the load on those who do answer the call to 911.
So if they are on too many 911s, they're unable to take the transfer. That transfer would have to wait. So where we kind of fill that niche is we come in and take the transfer for them, because we don't right now have a 911 contract with anybody, so we don't have a 911 responsibility. So we just fill that, where take the pressure off local systems so that 911 trucks are still available to do 911s.
That was our Mark Gillette reporting, and you can find much more information on his story by heading to our website, UpNorthLive.com, and clicking that story. Well, looking ahead to a meeting happening in Traverse City tonight, city commissioners are meeting to discuss an application for a planned unit development on Woodmere Avenue. It would be mixed use, so that would mean some residential and some commercial space. For more on that, let's turn things over to our Cody Bear, who is going to be at that city commission meeting tonight. But before then, Cody, and I know you went to that property on Woodmere to learn a little more about it. So tell us what you discovered.
Yeah, so that property on Woodmere is the old TC Millworks building. Last month, there was a ribbon cutting that we were able to tell you about that was happening between Keene Technical Solutions and TC Millworks. And essentially, they're in a new building now on Aero Park Court. And that new building is where they're staying for the headquarters. So now TC Millworks' old building is just kind of sitting there. Actually, TC Millworks currently uses the back parking lot, because you can't really see it, just for a little bit of their work, because there's so much open space back there. So right now, the building that used to be TC Millworks building is just kind of sitting there. So the property owner is looking to, like you mentioned, change that from the use that it's currently at as an industrially used property to what they're looking to make it a mixed use property. And as you mentioned, that would be residential and commercial.
And do we have any details on how many residential units and how much space will be used for commercial?
We do. So there will be one commercial building if things stick to the current plan. Right. It would be one commercial building and then 3 residential buildings, and each residential building would be 3 or 4 stories, and they would be market rate multifamily buildings, essentially, for residents.
So market rate meaning not necessarily affordable housing.
Yeah, it's a tough in between. We'll see how, essentially what they're going to do tonight is they are going to present exactly what their definition will be. And according to the agenda, it was market rate. But of course, in that presentation, we'll see exactly what they decide to really present to the city commission on whether they want to go more affordable or just stick it, what works for them.
So do we know, where are we in the process of this currently vacant building being turned into this mixed-use development? So let's say tonight the city commission does approve the application. Are developers good to go to start turning it into this mixed-use site, or do you know what else has to happen after that?
Yes, so right now, all we're going to get tonight is a presentation from the property owner, who is also the president of Keene Technical Solutions, who has that building now, TC Millworks, and the owner of TC Millworks. We're going to get a presentation from him tonight, and he will essentially talk about what they want this to look like. And that's all. There's no action being planned tonight. This got started a little while ago, back in June, is when they initially said, hey, you can build this application and you can build this presentation. So they applied. We won't see any action until August. On August 4th is when a public hearing is set, and they'll go through that process. And that's when the city commission will look to approve it. So essentially tonight, the city commission is getting a little bit of a sneak peek of what they want to do. The owner of the property requested this presentation to kind of tell the city commission now, this is what we're looking to do to present. So they're going to get that sneak peek, and we'll get that sneak peek as well and give it to you. And then later in August 4th is when they will decide whether to approve or deny after a public hearing.
Okay, so still pretty early on in the process. And again, just to reiterate what you said, no voting tonight, just getting some background information on what the developer is hoping to turn this property into. And as always, I'm sure the public will be there, even though it's not the public hearing. Usually they do give the public a chance to speak up and give their opinion on that as well. So coming up tonight at 11, Cody, we can expect to hear from you just more details about the plan and maybe some initial reaction from commissioners and some community members potentially?
Yes, we'll see how much the commissioners discuss, but if they do discuss it, that'll definitely be involved in what you see in 11. And yeah, that sneak peek of exactly what are those residential spaces going to look like? Will it be affordable or exactly a market rate? How will they define that? Those kind of things are what we're really going to look at tonight.
Anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
Yeah, something else that I'm looking at tonight is city commissioners may get a raise after tonight. The Local Officers Compensation Commission is the ones that are advising this raise, and it's a raise of 2.8% to the commissioners and the mayor's salary. So tonight we'll see a little bit of talk about, why it's at that 2.8%. And essentially what has to happen tonight is they can either reject that raise, or if they don't reject it, it will go into effect in 30 days. So we'll take a look as well at that and just see if that raise does go into effect or not.
Interesting. All right, Cody, well, thank you so much for joining us on Unscripted and giving us a little preview of what to expect at that meeting tonight. Like he mentioned, he will have more details on everything that's presented and discussed tonight on Up North Live News at 11. While, one festival may be done, it's about time for another festival here in northern Michigan. It feels like every single weekend, every week there is a different festival. So right now, this week is Alpenfest, but it's only been 2 days since the National Cherry Festival wrapped up in Traverse City. And while we're looking ahead to the 100th festival next year, first let's recap the 99th year. Our Allie Baxter followed up with festival organizers and the Visitor Center about the potential economic impact.
Gone are the rides, tents, and stages, and the extra few thousand visitors who come for the National Cherry Festival.
I think we had a great crowd. I'm not sure if we had an increase over the year before. We are a non-gated festival, so it is hard to tell how many times people come down.
Festival Executive Director Kat Pei said outside of knowing she needs to buy more ice cream and sunscreen next year, she says staff aren't positive on the numbers compared to last year's festival.
Sadly, it takes us a little bit of time to get those reports in. Luckily for me, I've got some real-time numbers as far as people's movement.
Traverse City Tourism CEO Trevor Tkach says he noticed an increase in the amount of people from the festival's opening day on June 28th to right before the July 4th weekend.
And we saw a significant bump starting Wednesday, growth, and Thursday, and then 4th of July fell on Friday. So it kind of kept creeping up through the week. Compared to the previous year, which is fabulous because it means they came and they spent more money and hopefully helped invigorate the visitor economy here even more than they did the previous year.
Tkach is also involved with the Boom Boom Club, a group that coordinates and pays for the July 4th fireworks display with donations and sponsorships.
It seemed to be a little bit ahead of where we were last year, so if that's an indicator of how people are spending, that's a good sign. It means we're holding steady, which I think not all markets are experiencing that.
Other factors Tkach says he's noticed this summer season is the weather and people keeping a closer eye on their finances.
I think there was a lot of pent-up demand to do something this summer. We had kind of crummy weather in May. It started to get better in June, but people have been very conservative with their dollars this year. I think people are concerned about their personal income, their finances, and they're traveling, but they're being selective about their travel. Even if times are a little bit tight for families and people are being selective about their travel, clearly Cherry Festival is on the list, and they showed their support by showing up.
As Tkach explains, he believes Traverse City and the festival have established a strong brand in the region.
People know that they can expect a good value and a good experience when they come here, and so they're willing to spend the dollars to be a part of the magic.
In Traverse City, Allie Baxter, Up North Live News.
And again, next year is a pretty big one for the National Cherry Festival in Traverse City, the 100th year. And Pei did give us a little sneak peek about the events coming for that 100th year. She says there will be a focus on nostalgia and bringing back events from past cherry festivals. All right, let's take a quick look at our question of the day today related to festivals in general. Do you try to go to at least one festival in northern Michigan per year? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote. Looks like right now it's pretty split. 46% of voters saying yes, 54% saying no. We have quite a few comments on Facebook. And if you haven't voted yet, you can also leave a comment on maybe what your favorite festival is or which festival you try to make every year. But for now, let's take a quick commercial break. As we mentioned, Alpenfest in Gaylord is kicking off tomorrow, and Joe will have much more on the festival forecast and a look beyond. Straight ahead.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Another big festival happening in northern Michigan this week. That is the Alpenfest in Gaylord. We know a lot of folks will be heading there starting tomorrow. So for more on the forecast, if you are going there, let's turn things over to Joe. Joe, do you think it'll be pretty nice, pretty dry for the most part?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we mentioned this earlier, but maybe a shower tomorrow or Wednesday. Thursday and Friday looks dry. And then if we did see rain, a little more widespread, maybe Saturday. So kind of keep an eye on that. Look, they're setting up, Maya. By the way, I heard you went on a ride at the National Cherry Festival last week.
Oh, I went on a couple.
And I heard some kids were making fun.
Some kids were
screaming, right?
Yeah, I was screaming because it was, scary, right? And then some younger boys were making fun of me.
It must have been the Ferris wheel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're setting it up. You can see that they're getting the buckets there on the Ferris wheel. This is in downtown Gaylord right now. Let's start with that. Here is a look at Alpenfest, the 60th annual, kicking off this year. Tomorrow, small chance of a shower, 78 to around 80. Wednesday, same thing, small chance for a shower, low and mid 70s. And then Thursday, we'll go with a high of 81 with partly cloudy skies. So no major rain is expected. We do have a little bit of smoke overhead. This is the air quality index right now. So the yellows are areas where we have moderate levels of smoke in the sky. That'll kind of hang around a little bit through tomorrow. So here's the smoke forecast. So the sky might be a little bit, especially in the lower peninsula, a little more, of a whitish, opaque look rather than just, nice and blue before that kind of dissipates on Wednesday. We had a good rain over the weekend. Now Saturday, of course, we had that hot day. It was in the 90s for much of northern Michigan. And there's the rain that swept through here Saturday night into part of Sunday. And now things have pretty much dried out. So there was all that rain, which is a good thing to get in the summer. We dry out pretty quickly. And there's a look at things right now. So the rain is long gone. A few clouds will drift through here overnight. But as far as that chance for showers, there's a weak system that will push in here. And there you go. This is around tomorrow morning. You can see a little bit of rain, but there's not going to be much. Not a lot of showers. I think the best chance will be Tuesday night, right there into Wednesday morning, a little bit of rain. But when we run out the rainfall forecast, nothing that's going to be very widespread. A lot of zeros still on the map. So not everyone is going to get rain with this system. It is cool compared to a couple days ago. My goodness, it was so hot on Saturday. Right now we have 60s and 70s out there this evening. And our cooler spots overnight tonight, probably looking at a few 40s. In fact, I'll show you the low temperatures overnight. Here they are, the forecast lows, upper 40s and low 50s. So it's a night you probably don't need the AC tonight, the fan. Probably leave the window cracked a little bit to get a little breeze through the house. And there is the extended forecast. This week, you see a lot of things penciled in there, but there's not a lot of rain. Chance for a shower, isolated shower here and there. All of that. And then I think the best chance for a little rain for us will be Saturday as a little bit of a stronger front arrives, Maya.
All right,
So
good to know.
Decent weekend or week coming up here.
So maybe have an umbrella ready to go for Saturday, just in case?
Yeah, maybe later in the day.
Keep it by the door, just so you can grab it.
There you go, right.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe. Let's take another quick break, but we'll check in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe on his way to a Pittsburgh's game in Traverse City. We will talk to him next. The Tigers and Rays getting underway in Detroit, but even closer to home here in northern Michigan. The Traverse City Pittsbitters also in action tonight. Harrison Beebe, our sports director, is joining us live now from probably right outside Turtle Creek Stadium. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to do a quick pan. The stadium's over there somewhere. Another decent crowd on hand, judging by the parking lot tonight. But Maya, what do the Tigers and Pittsbitters have in common this year?
Well, I did listen to your sports segment earlier, so I do know that they all have, they all have 4 All-Stars?
Yup, you got it. You win the prize. Prize to be determined. I'll tell you later. But, yep, they have 4 All-Stars each. And we know the Tigers had 3 the other day in Gleyber Torres, Riley Green, and, of course, now that I'm live, Javi Baez. Yeah. Make the All-Star game. Now, Tarek Skubal joining them as of this weekend to the shock of no one. Probably a good chance to start the game next week for the American League. The Pittsbitters just announced their 4 All-Stars this afternoon. We've got Aaron Pisecki. He's at second base. We've got Isaac Sturgis. He's in the outfield. And we've got 2 pitchers, Logan Pecor and the local guy, Traverse City native Jack Griffiths, who just pitched for TC West a couple years ago. And he's already in a Northwoods League All-Star game. So that'll be next week for the Pittsbitters as well. It's almost like the league's planned it that way, but the games are on separate days. The MLB All-Star game will be next Tuesday. The Northwoods League All-Star game will be next Wednesday. So no heavy overlap there, but pretty cool that both teams doing really well, obviously, as we well know. And if only the Tigers could have been guaranteed a first-half playoff division title, then they wouldn't have to sweat it out. But last checked, I think they had 13-game lead in the AL Central.
That checks out.
So things are still going. They're back ahead of the Dodgers for best record in the major leagues after the weekend sweep of the Guardians. Although not a lot of people loving that sweep just because the run output was not there. So interesting to see people be kind of down on a Tigers sweep, which is kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, a sweep's a sweep. I'm not complaining. But
I'm not either. Yeah, especially when you go to Cleveland and beat them and show them, hey, we're not going to lose to you in the ALDS again, hopefully. Yeah, that's a win in my book.
Absolutely. All right, Harrison, we are all out of time, but thanks so much for joining us. We'll see highlights from those 2 baseball games tonight at 11. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
There are so many wonderful festivals around northern Michigan this time of year. Do you go to at least one festival in northern Michigan per year? You can see the results on your screen right now. Sharon on Facebook says, I give up 2 weeks of vacation to volunteer for the Cherry Festival. Thank you so much for that. Kimberly, I go to the Cherry Festival all week. Nicole says at least once, if not more. Kathy says 3 a year. And Jackie says Mushroom Festival. Join the conversation over on our Facebook page. We're all out of time, but thanks so much for joining us. See you tonight at 11.